Hey everyone. So this video, I'm actually going to be talking something about outside of my realm of expertise. So I just kind of had to read about it, do some research, and speak to people much smarter than I am regarding the mortgage industry. So we'll take an overall view from above. You're seeing the market tightening up. You're seeing lenders are the rates have gone up at one point. I think we were at 4.5. Where it is now, it's a daily fluctuation. It's almost like a guessing game as to where the rates might end up. But overall, there is a huge system that works in the back end to make the mortgage industry work. Now, I did read a nice law, a good explanation of how the mortgage industry works. It was explained by Barry Habib, is a prominent individual. Rather than going through, I think, what would be 15 minutes of reading of how it all kind of works, I want to read word for word what he believes needs to happen now to make sure that the industry survives, not only survives, but thrives. Fortunately, there are many smart people in the mortgage industry who are doing everything they can to navigate through these perilous times. But the Fed and our government needs to stop making it more difficult. The Fed must temporarily slow MBS purchases to allow pipelines to clear. Lawmakers need to allow for first payment defaults due to forbearance to be sellable. And finally, the Fed must more clearly communicate that mortgage rates and the Fed fund rates are not the same. We have faith that the effects of the coronavirus will subside and that things will become more normalized in the upcoming months. That's what needs to happen now. To understand why he came out to that, you would have to read the whole thing. And if you want to have a copy of it, DM me, text me, email me. I will send you a copy of his explanation how it works. You'd have to, speak to a loan professional. It ties into servicers, how they're losing money on mortgage calls, how their pipeline needs to be cleared up, mortgage-backed securities, how it all kind of works, how they get paid. The smallest example is whoever lends you the money doesn't necessarily keep it. They sell it to a servicer. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mac are some of the GSEs that buy these notes. That's, again, more detail, talk to a mortgage professional. But on a general scheme of things, they're seeing they're having these issues with capital and mortgage calls, and that's the reason why they're tightening up, and that's why interest rates are jumping. And that's not necessarily great for the housing market, especially during times are a little bit troubled. We still are historically lower interest rate than we've ever had in the past. Yes, you're right. Some people will say 3%, and we get to 4%, but 10 years ago, we were at 6.5. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were at like 18 in the 80s, 90s, 12, 13, 18% interest rate. So, grand scheme of things, we are on record lows. Now, locally, with all this happening, the one big article I kept on seeing was that Chase will no longer lend to anybody with less than 20% down or a 700 below FICO score. Locally, that doesn't impact us here in Las Vegas. I called somebody to pull numbers from last year. The end of last year, Chase was number 17 in market share in Vegas. They had a 1.5% market share. That means 1.5 loans out of every 100 came through. Statistically speaking, I'll round the numbers up for you. If we had 10% cash purchases on 3,000 houses selling every month, 2,700 homes are being financed. Now, if all those financing were, let's say, conventional, that would mean that they would be 1.5, 15, 45 out of those 3,000 loans would come from Chase. Assuming they're not doing VA or FHA, that means that's how many loans Chase will stop, funding here in Nevada. None of the other lenders seem to be following suit in that. They're not doing the 700. Yes, you saw that FHA requirements went up in FICO scores. I remembered FHA was as low as 600 somewhere. I can't, again, these are lender issues, but I remember seeing them. When you close enough real estate transactions, you run into it, you can kind of see. And now I'm seeing 620, 640, 660. So in a sense, it won't affect us. I'm willing to go ahead and bet that even though all these things are happening and it feels like it's crumbling, and for those of you who have lost your jobs or on furlough and are worried, absolutely. it feels like everything is falling apart, and there's no way you can't get your head above water. There's no way for you to get through. And I feel for you. I'm really sorry, because how you live and making sure you have a job essentially ties into everybody else. We're an economy tied in to each other. So I am predicting there will be no significant change in the real estate industry in the next 90 days. I've already said this. I posted a video on why the numbers compared to before, why I don't feel like in the next 60 to 90 days there will not be a significant impact in the real estate industry in a case of sales price. There was already a significant drop in the very, very beginning when the furloughs began, when 200,000 people were laid off. That immediately showed up in the cancellations, and then we went back to normal as my market update I did last week on how many withdrawals, how many back on the market listings came back, and I compared it to last year. So the numbers are not supporting any kind of massive downturn, significant. What I consider significant is double digit, 10 to 15% drop. In other words, in the next 90 days, with an average sales price in the first quarter of 2020 being $319,000 or $320,000, I don't see it dropping to $290,000 or below in the next 90 days. Our unemployment numbers are going to change once the casinos slowly begin opening. And it's all about consumer confidence and global confidence that here in Las Vegas, we handled the pandemic correctly, that people can feel safe coming back here. Now, the other part I'm seeing is people are talking about we're going to suffer huge because nobody's going to want to come. How we handle this situation is going to determine how people feel about coming back to Las Vegas, about spending their money here. And that is huge. And I don't think people are understanding, you as well, the opportunity. People are pent up. The other day, we were looking at flights to Hawaii for a month from now, or whenever this thing gets lifted, or whenever we feel like it's safe. Hawaii has like 6 cases of coronavirus. I don't know if it's because of their lack of testing, but right now they're really low. And so it seems like a safe place to go. So once this is over and I feel safe getting in an airplane, Hawaii is one of my first destinations. The same goes for Vegas. We are a destination spot. If people feel that we handled it correctly and our numbers are coming down and they feel safe coming here, they can't wait to come. Especially if the hotel's rates are reasonable, downright cheap. Because I know it sounds bad that unemployment, they say, may hit 15, 16% average after this is all said and done. You got to remember, unemployment was at 5%. So 10% of the population that had a job, that no longer have a job, may not be able to come to Vegas and spend the money like they wanted to. That's 1 out of 10. So it is critical we handle the situation, that we don't rush into it. All we need is one news article or one thing that comes out where a convention happens and a bunch of people come, get sick and die. We don't want that. We got to be able to control that. So patience is key. We're 4 weeks into the shutdown now, since the place has been shut down. I believe the original opening date was up to April 16th. It's been moved to the end of the month. It may be longer than that, but we just have to be patient, make sure we do it right. Don't let economically, I know it hurts. It does. I see it. People who live check to check. I have clients who live check to check. I have family who live check to check. This isn't something I take lightly, but we have to be cautious and take into effect that the world is also looking upon a place like Las Vegas. Corporations are looking at how we handle this to see if we take it seriously, so that they feel safe bringing their most valuable assets in their conventions to Vegas. And that valuable asset is the people. So I hope this helps. One quick note somebody told me, Hermes in China had their largest day in sales the first day that they opened business. So don't think that there's no pent-up demand to go out and do something. There is. And Vegas is premier destination to let loose, get party, and just enjoy life. That's what we're known for. Our lifestyle, our strip, the hotels, the clubs, the casinos, the day spas, the pool, the restaurants. It's what we have built ourselves on over the last 10 years. So people want to come here, and they can't wait to come here. We just got to open properly.